Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me on my channel today, where I discuss all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. Today, I am prepping for the SF Pen Show, and I'm going to give some tips for how I survive a very busy and possibly very overstimulating pen show. This will be the third time I'll be visiting the SF Pen Show, and I'm so excited. I feel like this year, even though it's going to be busy, because I am going there mostly to see friends, and yes, I will do some shopping, but I feel like now that I'm going back to a pen show, and I've experienced a few pen shows in my very short career collecting fountain pens, I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared going into a very busy show like SF. This is one of the busiest shows in, well, do I want to say the world? But I know definitely one of the busiest shows in North America. I'm going to use this little insert that I've got here in my Passport TN. I was going to do this in my pen and ink journal, but realized I'm not going to take that with me because I'm going away before the SF Pen Show and don't want to take a ton of stuff with me. Let's do this. Okay, so one of the first things that I've done to prep for the SF Pen Show is to, one, look at the class schedule. Now, I haven't actually signed up for any classes this year. I kind of just want to free up my schedule to do what I need to do. I did do 2 classes last year and unfortunately was very disappointed in the delivery of the class. And I feel like I'm allowed to say that because I had different expectations of the class that I took last year. I took the nib tuning class as well as the nib grinding class. I was not happy with, one, how the class was presented, but two, how the instructor, how do I say this? How the instructor monitored our progress or gave us feedback on our progress. It was basically slideshows, slide presentation, and then we were put to work on grinding our nibs and then occasionally got feedback on it. So my first impression of classes at the SF Pen Show, particularly with that instructor, were not very good, but I know that there are a lot of other classes that are fantastic. Like, for example, my friend at From Corolla is doing her wildflowers class, and if you are going to SF, sign up for her class. It is fantastic. And I'm saying this as a really good friend. She is an amazing artist, and I've heard great things about her class. And I know there's a few others there as well for how to use your pens for art and things. So I definitely recommend looking at the class schedule and seeing if there's something there that you would like to do. My second thing that I've done for the pen show prep is sign up for a nib grind time slot with Kirk of Pen Realm, and then he opened up his time slots maybe like a month ago or at the end of June, like quite a while ago. But I know Gina of Custom Nib Studio, they don't open their slots until about 2 weeks beforehand. So and the slots for Gina go very, very quickly. So I need to make sure that I sign up for their slots as well. Custom Nib Studio. And then the other thing that I'm doing to prep is I've already purchased my all access pass, or I say all access, but all weekend pass, because I do plan on being there for the 3 days I will be there. I mean, Sunday I do leave at around 10, but I'd like to still be there for the first hour of the show just to say goodbye to friends and maybe make a last minute purchase. Who knows? Then once I've done that, I'm going to absolutely make sure that you've actually booked your hotel, booked your flights and all that. Basically book travel arrangements, which I did months ago. Then once you've done that, look at the pen show map. The pen show map is actually really good this year because when you go online to the SF Pen Show website, their map is actually quite interactive. So if you click on a particular table, then a pop-up will appear as to who is actually at that table. But because I am a pen and paper person, I did print this off and then highlight a few tables that I do want to visit. Now, this isn't the be-all and end-all for me in terms of who I want to see at the pen show. These are just spots that I want to make sure that I do stop by. I do plan on doing a full round of everything, and then again, and then again, and then again. Print off the pen show map, or at least have a study of it and write down the specific tables that you would like to visit or are a can't miss for you. So those are things that I'm doing to prep for the SF Pen Show. But what I'm also going to, I guess, prep, I don't know if I'm going into prep now or tips. I think I will do some Pen Show tips now. I guess the first Pen Show tip that I have here, I guess, is wear good shoes, because you will be standing quite a bit. Yes, there are places, especially at SF, to be able to sit and relax for a bit. Most pen shows do have communal areas where you can sit and relax and look at your pen goods. And I guess that leads me to my next thing as well, is to take a break, because it will feel overwhelming, very overstimulating. You've got a lot of people. It can be quite noisy, but also you are surrounded by many pens, many inks, and you just want to look at everything, and your senses are in complete overdrive. Take breaks. Highly recommend taking breaks. And then I recommend bring snacks and a water bottle. Now, I know at SF they do have water stations in certain areas, but if you're in the middle of the ballroom and you don't know where the water station is, have your water bottle with you. It just makes it easier, then you're hydrated, and then you're not going to get a headache or a migraine later on in the day. And I have personal experience with getting a migraine in the middle of a pen show, which is basically a side note. I bring Tylenol or Advil with me, because along with all of the overstimulation and possible lack of hydration, I will get a headache, but that's just me. So wear good shoes, take breaks, bring snacks and a water bottle, possible medication. And then I like to bring this, but you don't have to, bring a fan, because it can get hot with that many people. The fan that I have is, oh, I've been looking for that. I purchased this off of Amazon, and it's just so handy. Fits in my purse. It has 3 different speeds, and you can basically plug it in with a USB charger. And I love it. Or you can bring a hand fan. I always found that people found it really amusing when I would whip out my fan and cool myself. And as a woman getting to a certain age, it gets hot at unexpected times, and a fan is a lifesaver. Now I have other tips. I have, bring your notebook or ink journal. So bring the notebook that you are using for your ink journal every day, because you can do writing samples in here. You can do your ink samples, because they do have ink sampling stations. You can get stamps from all of the different makers and vendors. It becomes like this little traveler's notebook, scrapbook, where you're testing on the actual paper that you're going to use when you get back home, so you can see what the pen and ink actually behaves like in a notebook that you actually use on a day-to-day basis. But also the stamps are fun. It's a great way to talk with the vendors and communicate with them, but it's a fun thing that you do. Most vendors actually have stamps on their table, so I highly recommend going to their table and looking for their stamps and asking if you can stamp their book. So other tips, ask before picking up a pen. And then ask if it is a snap cap or a screw top. And most vendors are going to be very, very good about, oh yeah, go ahead, pick up the pen, absolutely. But there are some vendors, like the vintage vendors, that may be, their pens are probably a little bit more fragile, so definitely ask permission before picking up a pen. But most makers and most vendors are going to want you to be able to touch the pen and feel the pen and make sure that it is actually something that you want to purchase. And then in terms of purchasing and budgeting, bring cash. I recommend that because, for example, when I went to the Chicago Pen Show, I had a specific budget, I had cash, but then if I did want to use my credit card, I would immediately be charged the taxes or any processing fees. So you have to take that into account, that when you're using credit card, you are going to be charged those extra fees, especially like with SF. You're in California, there's a lot of extra taxes if you're using credit card. So bring cash. It can really help with keeping to your budget as well if you are only using the cash that you have on hand. Saying that though, most, if not all, vendors have some sort of Square Terminal or Apple Pay or anything like that. So just ask. If you don't have cash or don't want to bring cash, you can use credit card, and I'm sure some of them use PayPal or Venmo. So just always ask. And then ask questions. Most vendors and makers love to talk about their pens. They love to talk about their process. So ask them questions about their pens. It's also a great way to get to know the makers and get to know the people at a pen show, is just ask questions. I don't know of too many people in the fountain pen community that gatekeep their information. Most of us want to share this hobby with you. Most of us want to share what we found. And even if the question is, what did you buy? At a pen show, that's absolutely appropriate to ask what a person has purchased. And many are willing to share their hauls at a pen show. So absolutely ask questions. And then I think one last thing I'll say here, don't be afraid to say hello to people. And I know I sometimes have to give myself that advice, because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to approach them. I'm scared to talk to them. But most people are so happy for you to approach them and say hi. If you see me at the San Francisco Pen Show, please say hi. But yeah, don't be afraid to say hello. I know that I went through these tips really, really quickly in my pen show prep really quickly, but for me now, it really is just about seeing people that I only ever get to see at pen shows. And these are friends that, let's say, for example, I've only ever met twice before, but each time I see them, I feel like we've been friends forever. And that's why I love pen shows, and I love going to pen shows, is just reuniting with people that, I don't see on a day-to-day basis, but it feels like when we do get together, no time has passed. So like, for example, Corolla, we saw each other, oh my gosh, it'll be the second time this year, because we saw each other at the Pacific Northwest Pen Show. But Corolla and I only ever see each other at pen shows. But every single time we see each other, it feels like no time has passed. And I love those friendships. That is it for me. A little bit of a chatty video, just going into what I'm prepping for the SF Pen Show, but also some tips. If this is your first time at a pen show, yes, it's going to be a little nerve-wracking. It's going to be overwhelming, but it's okay. We've all been there. But my biggest advice really is to take breaks. Take breaks. Even to the point where in the middle of a pen show, I will go back to my hotel room and take a nap and then come back to the pen show, because I need that to de-stress. Again, thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions or any other tips that you'd like to add, please add them below. Thanks again, and have yourselves a great day.